Hey everybody, this is Keith Gleason, host of Indie Comics Relay, creator of the Mighty Mascots, and promoter for the Plastic City Comic Con. And I'm here with the April Indie Comic recommendation video. Before we get into that, just a quick reminder, the Plastic City Comic Con's coming up July 20th, Saturday, $10 admission. Our guest list is growing from what you can see here. This is a whole list of vendors, artists, local writers, the whole kit and caboodle, and also check out recklesssidekick.com, which you can get to from heroenvy.com or recklesssidekick.com, and you can check out all my comics that I've made. There's a link in the store section here. You can check out my lettering if you need comics lettered, and also we now have digital. We're on Global Comics. All right, so I've been doing these videos for a little while now. They are I go through the previews guide every month because I do my orders online with DCBS, and I kind of take note of like interesting indie books that I'm going to pick up or that I might get down the road as trade paperback. So I always pick like 6 or 7. We have a pretty big one this month, a lot of great number ones, and I usually will just highlight them for you guys because you may not know about them. They're indie books, and I choose from all the different companies out there. Dark Horse, primarily Dark Horse, Boom, and Image is where I get all most of it, but then there's also the smaller press companies too that I always check out, and I find some stuff there too. So one thing I'm noticing, there's a lot of good 80s throwback, there's a lot of nostalgia baiting going on right now. But I love it. I if you can get a good creative team on a book for a cartoon that was cool back in the 70s and 80s, I'm all for it. So all right, without further ado, let's get started on this month's picks. All right, the first one I have here is from Boom Studios. It's called Profane. It's a mini series, 1 of 5. The creative team on this is Peter Milligan, Raul Fernandez, and this is a noir, which is like one of my favorite genres, both in comics and on TV and movies. And Peter Milligan's like a really one of my favorite writers. I just recently actually finished his entire run of Shade the Changing Man, rereading it. Like I read it back in the day. I haven't read it in a few years, and it was like, fading in my memory. So I reread it again. It's really good. I mean, it starts to lose focus towards the end of the series, which is fine, but then they kind of wrap it up nicely in the last 3 issues. But it's really good stuff. And Peter Milligan is, he's always been doing like series here and there. He did the Ecstatics, and this looks cool. Like it's about a murder mystery, but like it looks like the cop that's trying to solve the mystery is finding out that all the suspects are crime novel writers or something like that. And it sounds really good. The artwork looks nice. This cover looks really cool. So yeah, I'm in. So if you want to check out Profane, you always have to just give your comic store this diamond code so they can order it for you. Or you could use if you can go to previewsworld.com, you can use their new pull box feature if your store's set up with it, and you can send I think you can just check it off, and your store will get notified that you want a copy of this. So check it out, especially little books like this. They always need your help. So let your stores know that you want this. So Profane number 1. All right, moving on to our next pick is Grindle, Devil's Crucible Defiance number 1 by Matt Wagner. Now, I haven't seen a Matt Wagner book in a while. I think the last one he did was the final miniseries for Mage. And Grendel's been missing from the shelves for a long time. So this is really cool that he's bringing it back. And it's also the Grendel Prime character from that whole universe. So I'm excited about this. It looks like it's a 4-issue mini. And it's saying that Matt Wagner is both doing the art and the writing on it, which is even cooler. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this. This is great. Like Matt Wagner is one of those old school creators that we used to be around all over the place in like the 80s and 90s. You'd constantly having stuff coming out. But now it's very, you don't see him as much, and it's very, when he does a project, it's like, all right, yeah, it's like when Mike Mignola does something, you just want to kind of jump on it. So yeah, it's really cool that Grendel is back. So we'll be checking this one out. If you want to order Grendel, Devil's Crucible Defiance, this is the diamond code that you would give your retailer. Let them know that you want this, and tell them ICR sent you. Okay, moving on to our next book. This is Nemesis Rogues Gallery by Mark Millar, writer, and the artist is Valerio Giordano, as I think is how you say it. Now, this character is awesome. Like, I don't know if you guys are into the whole Millar world stuff, but he just did this big crossover called Big Game that used all his Millar characters. And one of the characters is this Nemesis character who's sort of like a villain, but he's like if Batman were evil, basically. And I like the concept of that. Like, Batman is one of the toughest and smartest characters in any, comic universe. But to make somebody like that the villain is very interesting. And I am curious to see what happens with this. It takes place right after Big Game. And also, if you notice that Mark Millar is now with Dark Horse, I think he's moved his whole production company over there, and he's no longer doing anything with Image, which is fine. I mean, it's just as long as the books come out, I don't care where they're being published. So I'm on board for this. I believe it's probably going to be 4 or 5 issues. It does not say here what it is. I hate when they do that, but you're going from past experiences because there's been 2 other Nemesis miniseries, and they both were 4 issues. So my guess is this will be 4 or 5 issues. But yeah, check it out. It looks great. I love this cover. So, all right, moving on to the next one. Oh, and give them this diamond code if you're looking to get Nemesis. All right, moving on. This next one is from Boom Studios again. This is Berserker, A Face Full of Bullets. Like, Berserker is the character that was created with Keanu Reeves, and this is a one shot from the looks of it. It's an expensive one. It's $10, but usually they're really thick. I have one of the previous one shots, and but this one's written by Jason Aaron, and artist is Francesco Manna. And it looks like this one is like a Western kind of theme, which is awesome. So that's the one great thing about having an immortal character. You can kind of do stories all over the timeline. And, as long as you have a beginning, middle, and end, it's perfect. And I like when they do these big, long one shots. You don't have to wait for a mini series. You just get the whole thing. And Jason Aaron, he's one of those writers that I'm hit and miss with me, but more hits than miss. And he did a Vertigo series back in the day called Scalped that was almost like an old Western kind of thing, modern day, like Indian reservations and casinos and things like that, crime stuff. But this looks like it could be in that wheelhouse a little bit, so I'm a little excited for that. And I like the Berserker character. So yeah, bring it on. I'm in. So if you want to grab Berserker, A Face Full of Bullets, and I love that title, Face Full of Bullets. That's just like, that's something you could see on a Clint Eastwood movie or something. So do you give them this diamond code and tell your store you want Berserker? All right, so this next one is a pair. It's the Destro miniseries and the Scarlet miniseries. This is part of the Energon universe, which is Robert Kirkman's Hasbro property universe, which mixes G.I. Joe and Transformers, and I'm assuming more Hasbro properties down the road, but they're doing it right. When you do a shared universe, you build it slowly and methodically, and that's what they're doing here with all these miniseries, like the Cobra Commander one, which is still going. I've only read up to 3, and I think up to 3 on Duke as well. Both of those are excellent. And the Transformers book is great as well, and Void Rivals is awesome. So all 4 books that they have in their little contained universe have been great so far. I don't include the Larry Hama G.I. Joe because it's it's its separate thing, continuing the Marvel continuity, but that's good as well. But this one is a focus on Destro, and then this one is a focus on Scarlet. So they both look cool. I mean, this cover of Scarlet looks great. I like that character a lot. And the Destro, I mean, look at that dome. I mean, one of the best looking 80s villains of all time. So this is gonna be great. So I've been loving all this stuff, especially when it, like I said, when it's done right, it really kicks ass. So check it out. So if you want to order Destro, diamond code is here. Scarlet, the diamond code is here. Now, if it's anything like the previous miniseries, there'll probably be about 5 or 6 issues. And then I think that's what they're going to do this first year, just kind of introduce characters slowly and then start putting things together, and we'll see where things go from there. So yeah, so check that out. All right, moving on to our next book. Let me close these out. Is Gachaan, #1, another 80s property back, which is mostly an anime that was ported over here and under the title Battle of the Planets back in probably the late 70s, early 80s. And it was also called G-Force at one point. Like there was a couple of variations of it. But basically what they had done was taken the Japanese anime, brought it over here, and then kind of cut out all like the really violent stuff and inserted like other shots in there with this character called Seven Zark 7. This one is, since it's called Gachaan, I'm assuming that the continuity is off of the anime and not the Battle of the Planets stuff that was over here in the US. I love this image. I think that's great. It looks like an Alex Ross type image. It's written by Cullen Bunn, and the artist is Chris Batista. I'm not familiar with Chris Batista's work, but I have read a bunch by Cullen Bunn, and he especially his horror stuff is really great. So, I know he's a fan of like old 80s cartoons and stuff. So I think this will be a perfect fit for him, and I'm looking forward to it. So I ordered this. This is from Mad Cave Studios too. So if you want to order Gachaan, which is just a cool anime property, you're going to give them this diamond code and tell them ICR sent you. All right, on to our last book, which I'm really excited about, is Houses of the Unholy hardcover graphic novel written by Ed Brubaker. Art is by Sean Phillips, and then I believe Jacob Phillips is the colorist on it as well. A father and son art team there. But Sean, I've often said on this channel, Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips are one of the best teams in comics, and have been for, oh my god, it's got to be at least 15, maybe 15, 20 years now that these two have been working together. And about 3 or 4 years ago, they started to just get away from making monthly comics and just doing original graphic novels that are 100 pages or so, and they usually put out about 2 or 3 a year now. They started with the Reckless ones, and they've done some other one shots, and this looks like it's another one shot palette cleanser for them, but it's dealing with like the 70s and 80s, like the satanic panic, and then an FBI agent getting involved in this stuff. And I love, these guys are great with those kind of stories, crime, or with a little bit of realism added in. So, and Sean Phillips, I mean, I discovered him on the Hellblazer comics back in the day, and I loved his artwork for those painted covers he used to do. And he's just gotten better and better, and putting these two guys together just is awesome. Was the best thing that happened. So like I said, they're one of my top 3 comic creative teams of all time. So I'm on board for this. So this one I may not order, because I usually pick up at my comic store, because every time they do put a graphic novel out there, they do like a signed book plate, and I'm not sure if I would get it if I ordered it through DCBS. So I usually pick this one up in the comic stores so I can get that signed book plate that goes with it. But yeah, I am on board. So if you want to check out Houses of the Unholy, this is the diamond code, and I suggest highly that you pre-order this one, because a lot of stores may not, because it's a graphic novel, it's a lot more expenses to the store, may not normally bring these in. So check that out. But all right, everybody, that's it for this month's April recommendations indie comics. Join us every other week for our live streams. We're pulling double duty the next couple of weeks with live streams. We got a lot of great guests coming on. We have Brandon Blocksdorf from the Comics Wellspring podcast be joining us. I got the creative team of Zen, the Intergalactic Ninja, coming on to talk about their new Kickstarter. So there's a lot of stuff happening in the next couple of weeks. We had Mike Diodato on the channel a week ago. That was a huge honor to talk to him. So yeah, we've been getting some good guests lately. We had Mark Maya, who's a big YouTube star, on our show. He's got an awesome comic as well. So yeah, so check out if you go to the live tab on YouTube, you can see all the live streams there. Usually about 90 minutes to 2 hours. And we just have a great time with the guests and interview them and just, talk comics, So, all right, everybody, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and most importantly, read some comics. All right, everybody, we'll talk to you later. Bye.